This is Mike Jones, ECTV. Thanks for joining us. Got a special guest tonight. My best bud ever and a great storyteller, a local lawyer, Dan Gus. Dan, thanks, brother, for coming in.
No problem.
And I want people to know you like I know you because, you know, it's hard to get to know people.
People don't want to know me like you know me.
Well, wait a minute. Let's not go.
No, I'm just saying, for you to get to know me like you got to know me, you went through hell to get to know me.
Oh, yeah. You know what? But, yeah, and I tell people this all the time, and Melvin and I both, we agree that if it hadn't have been for that, we wouldn't have got to know you. So right. there's something good that came out of this.
Right.
You know? Because you and Amanda are just, Amanda's his wife, guys, are just awesome people. So,
well, she is.
Well, you know, you get rubbed off, I guess.
You know, you call me a special guest, and I feel like something of a fraud. I mean, if you knew where I came from, you wouldn't think I was all that special. I was thinking, you know, it's like, you know, you think you got this nice hydrangea bush or something, then you go digging around the roots and say, it's just a potato plant, you know? And so,
hey,
I'm a potato plant masquerading as something better.
No, you're probably the biggest hearted. You and Bill, your partner, awesome people, and I could go on with stories and stories and stories about Dan and Bill, but let's get to know Dan. This ain't, like I say this all the time, this ain't about me. This is going to be about Dan, and Dan has told me a little bit about some of his growing up years, and the one that really sticks out is the plague of the grasshoppers. Dan, first of all, tell everybody where you're from.
Well, I grew up I was born in Southern California, and so we stayed there until I was 8. And then the smog was killing me, so my parents decided they were going to move us up to Idaho. And so,
man, that's a big difference.
It was a big difference. You know, there was breathable air. That was good, and a lot of wide open space. You know, because I lived in Southern California in this little apartment complex that was horrible. I remember.
Where was that at in California?
It was in Orange County.
Yeah.
So right by Disneyland. And that was in the days when Disneyland, you still had the tickets to get on the different rides. And
the e-ticket rides.
Right. And we were too poor to go. So,
maybe we should start with how you know, the financial background that you grew up with. So they get a foundation of the grasshopper plague.
Oh, well, you know, my parents were both hardworking. You know, but they started a family young. I mean, my mom was 19, my dad was 21 when they got married, and my brother came along in the first year of marriage, and then, you know, 2 kids and within a few years. And so, yeah, we lived in this little apartment complex called Palm Tree Gardens when I was growing up, and in Southern California. And the thing I remember about those apartments the most is the steps. These were built in the 60s, and it was a 2-story, and so we had steps coming down, and they were made of like stone, you know, it's like stone steps, and it's like, man, for a little kid, that's kind of treacherous, you know. It's
there wasn't anything made for kids back then.
Oh no, man, you fell down those stairs. It was
it's just staying in the herd.
You were getting some stitches, you know. I tell you, it was terrible. But and our entertainment was if we'd find an extra dime in the little laundry room that served our little block of apartments, my friends and I, we'd put that in the dryer, because you could start a dryer for a dime. And so we'd start a dryer. And we'd start that dryer, we'd climb in, and we'd take turns taking rides in the dryer. And that was our entertainment, man. And
you know, Disneyland, because
I couldn't go to Disneyland,
right?
So I had to ride what I could.
And then so you ride in the dryer, and what people probably don't know is Disneyland, every night at 9:30 they had fireworks.
Right.
They would shoot off fireworks. Because I also lived off of Catella Avenue there in Garden Grove is where.
Yeah, that's where I'm from. Garden Grove. Nobody knows Garden Grove. They used to call it Garbage Grove. And, and so.
Oh man, it was. So it's a small world that really that.
Yeah, I didn't know that you'd been down that area.
Yeah, I mean, a mile from Disneyland. When I first went out when I joined the Marine Corps, and my first duty station was El Toro, California, and they didn't have housing, you know, available. There's only a certain amount of houses. So they gave you a list of these apartment complexes that would accept what the Marine Corps was willing to pay. And off of Tibbs Circle, off of Catella, right by Disneyland, we had an apartment there for, I don't know, 7 or 8 months before I got base house. So
wow.
It's a small world.
My goodness. Yeah. It was interesting growing up there. The big things in my life were the playground and the ice cream man, when you're a little kid. And
were you able to get ice cream off the ice cream man?
yeah, occasionally. Oh, this is terrible. It reminds me of something. Other kids had, lemonade stands or what have you, and I decided I was going to open a bank. And so I figured that's where the money is. They're giving away toasters and stuff. It's the 70s, and so
yeah, right.
So I decided I was going to open the bank, and they had a bank in Southern California called the Crocker Bank. I decided to take some liberties with the name, and I did the Cracker Bank.
No, that's okay.
And so, yeah, my sister, I was like 6 years old. My sister would have been 9, and so she drew my logo, which was nothing but a saltine. And so I set up a table out in the alleyway with my saltine, Cracker Bank. And
did you get any customers?
I got one depositor.
Oh, yeah? How much did he deposit?
He deposited 10 cents.
Okay,
and I had a choice. That could be a nice ride in the dryer.
It could be.
Or I could go to the ice cream man, and I did. I went to the ice cream man.
And literally you stole 10 cents.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I did. Yeah, I don't know what the interest would be on that 10 cents today.
You probably don't want to. Yeah, you probably don't want to mention this guy's name.
So, I don't know his name. It was just some strange kid that I'd never seen.
He just got ripped off for 10 cents at the Cracker Bank.
At the buyer beware. That's.
Yep.
So I bought cinnamon gum off the ice cream man with that 10 cents.
You bought gum instead of ice cream off the ice cream man.
Yeah.
So
it was a full service ice cream man. I mean, you could get
cigarettes,
candy, candy cigarettes. So.
Oh, you remember that the chewable? It was gum in a pouch. It was like chewing tobacco, but it was gum.
Yeah,
shredded
the big
gum.
league.
Yeah. They had a big league too. Yeah. We had cards in those.
Oh yeah. The cards were good. We had this little convenience store not far because you could walk. Like, you'd be a kid. I mean, my parents would send me walking to school when I was 5 years old. And, I mean, I had to cross a freeway. And so,
again,
dodging those trucks was tough. But, there was a bridge.
But the thing is, it was different back in the day, too. I mean, you're a lot younger than I am, and I tell people this all the time. Kids were meant to be seen, not heard. Mm-hmm. And, go out and play. And you'd be like, no one ever told me not to cross the street. It'd be kind of like God thinning the herd. If I got hit by a car, everybody would be sad, but they'd go on. They'd have another kid.
Right.
That's just how things were. Today, it's everything about the kid.
Oh, yeah. We played with lawn darts. Yes. Here, let me lob something at you that can pierce you to the wall.
That's right. Oh, you had to sharpen them, too, remember? On the concrete?
Nobody wants a dull lawn dart. We're a lot more risk averse today with our kids. I don't let my kids ride in dryers. I don't let them go crossing freeways when they're 5 years old. I mean, they're not that age anymore, but yeah.
You still wouldn't let them in the dryer, though, even at any age, probably.
Well, probably not. No. So
he's got some Great Danes out there too that wouldn't fit in your dryer either. No. Maybe the puppies would.
The puppies would, but I'd have the SPCA on my doorstep if I was trying to dry Great Dane puppies.
So did you? So when you moved to Idaho, that's got to be an agriculture, like an FFA kind of, not FFA, Future Farm. Yeah.
Yeah, I was in the Future Farmers of America. Yeah.
Did you show anything?
Oh, Mike.
My daughter showed a goat one time, and it was the fattest goat ever at the show because she was so lazy. My daughter was so lazy with this goat that every time the goat would make a sound, she'd go out there and give it some food. So that thing ate like, Fatty Arbuckle.
Right.
So it was the fattest goat in the world. It cost me $1,000 for her to show a goat.
Well, we lived in a subdivision, so I didn't live out on the farms like other kids in my town lived in, and so my options were limited, and so I raised chickens, and so and not chickens that were like useful, because like
were they show
broilers.
Chickens?
Yeah, they were fancy chickens, Mike. totally useless fancy chickens. And so there's no honor in getting champion duck at the Western Idaho Fair. Grand champion steer, that's something, but champion chicken, no, that's
bless your heart, man.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Well, we're kind of close to the grasshopper plague, aren't we? I mean,
like in Africa right now?
No.
Oh, you're talking about my grasshopper plague.
Yeah, I mean, you told me
that was earlier. I was 10, and we moved to this.
It was still in Idaho, though, right?
It was still in Idaho. We moved to Idaho in 1979 from Southern California, and then my parents bought their first home, a little starter home, 3-bedroom, 1-bath type of deal.
Yeah.
Out in just this. It really carved out of the sagebrush. I mean, is where this subdivision was. It was Desert View subdivision. That was our view. Was the desert?
Did they got desert in Idaho?
Oh yeah, man. It was sagebrush all around us.
Wow.
And so, yeah, when we moved there, it was the spring of 1980, and it was grasshopper bad infestation that year. It was just bad, and so they were all over the place. And I didn't have anything to do to entertain myself because I didn't know anyone in the neighborhood. So I was out on my bike riding in the cul-de-sac where we lived, and grasshoppers just everywhere. And so I would just run them over and then strategically time when my back tire was on top of one, slam on the brakes and skid and smear these grasshoppers out. And that's how I met my first friend. What
was his name? Do you remember?
Yeah, Peter C. was his name. And he lived a couple doors down, and he was a year younger than me. And he came riding up on his bicycle, and the reason I couldn't make friends is I had big ears. Yeah, as a kid, I mean they're still big ears, but they looked really bad then. And so I was self-conscious, and I grew my hair out to cover the ears, and then just straight across there, I looked like
Egyptian,
a young pharaoh. It was a little Egyptian kid, and I was dark because I was out in the sun all the time, running over grasshoppers. And so it's like nobody wanted to play with the little Egyptian kid down the street, And so this kid came running down the cul-de-sac, riding on his bicycle. And how do you strike up a friendship with a stranger but to say, hey, kid, you want to skid on grasshoppers?
You want to smear grasshoppers?
Well, you smear them by skidding them.
Yeah. So, oh, my God.
Yeah, but then I made my sister was common enemy number one once I met other boys in the neighborhood because she was a few years older than me.
Oh.
So we used grasshoppers as our weapon.
Yeah?
Yeah, to keep her away. You
weaponized grasshoppers?
We weaponized grasshoppers. We'd chase her into the house, and she'd shut herself in the room screaming, I'm going to tell Mom, and I'd be slipping grasshoppers under her door.
Headless grasshoppers or real grasshoppers?
No, just real grasshoppers.
Okay.
And then we figured, well, it wasn't enough to chase her away. We needed just to be guaranteed to repel her. So we would make necklaces of grasshoppers.
You get some grasshopper necklace?
Grasshopper necklaces. We get threads, tie little nooses and put the grasshoppers there and tie it around. And then we'd string like 4 or 5 grasshoppers on this piece of thread and then tie it around our necks. And of course, we didn't wear shirts in the summertime, so you got these grasshoppers.
So you like the short deer hunter move, where you're wearing, instead of wearing ears, you're wearing.
This was some adaptation of Lord of the Flies, I think, Lord of the Grasshoppers, and but it was terrible because then they jump, And so
they're still alive.
Oh, well, I'm not going to put.
You said that you put nooses around them. I just assumed that you.
They didn't asphyxiate. No,
they didn't asphyxiate.
They were. Dead grasshoppers aren't all that scary, Mike.
So, yeah, that's true.
So we had to keep them alive. But then they're crawling all over you and jumping. So
and they're being tethered back.
Well, right, because they could actually, then they could, kill themselves by jumping too hard against the noose.
But there was more. You could replenish dead.
Sure.
Yeah.
But
only the smart ones survive, y'all.
But to not keep making the necklaces, we just took their legs off. And so
they wouldn't jump?
So they wouldn't jump.
And kill themselves?
Yeah, horrible.
They would just slowly
they would
die.
just lay there, This is what it's come to. I didn't think it would end this way,
Like, man, could you scratch my nose?
Hanging from a thread on some little kid's chest that looks like an Egyptian. So, how did I end up here? Poor grasshopper.
They told me this is how it all ended. Yes. Man, poor grasshopper.
Yeah, my sister still is counseling to this day over that. I think it was.